All right, I'm Nick. Now, I just finished up the maiden voyage in the Old Town Sportsman 106 Paddle Kayak. I didn't want to make a video on the water. There was someone else out there. They're enjoying their morning. I didn't want to be the random person out there like, all right, I'm Nick. Today we're talking about this kayak, and ruin their beautiful, peaceful morning while they were chasing brim around, okay? So hopefully the lighting's okay. We're just pulling out of this hunting lease. Figured I'd take a minute and I would talk to you about the kayak. I always like to start off with what the kayak is for. The kayak is 10'6". It comes with no rudder. Instantly you know that it is not for large bodies of water. When I look at that kayak, I look at it as a perfect pond prowler. Maybe you live on a lake and you want to fish a little cove right next to where you live, but you're not that dedicated and you don't want to paddle across it. It's lightweight, so it's easy to transport and move around. It's easier to store than a 13.5-foot kayak. Requires way less maintenance than a boat. So it is no maintenance really, right? Way less, no maintenance. It's an easy to throw and go kayak for small bodies of water. I even look at it as someone, maybe you live a place where you can paddle across a river and you can hunt a swamp or something like that. It is perfect for ingress, egress, stuff like that. And if you were hunting out of it or something, there's actually a lot of room to store gear, maybe your successful animals, and get it back across the river. The next thing I would say, it is probably great for the person who wants to float the river. Where we live, there's a lot of rivers that people go and float. You put a cooler in there, hang out with your friends. Maybe you're not the inner tube type and you want to be in a kayak. Well, a lot of kayaks that you can float the river in, they have molded in seats, they're uncomfortable, your butt gets wet, and it would be great for something like that just because it is super spacious, pretty darn easy to paddle, comfortable, and I think it would do a wonderful job in that scenario, right? And you would be out there in style compared to the other folks who are just in, we'll say, sun dolphins. Nothing against sun dolphins, I've caught some nice fish in a sun dolphin before, but you'd be a whole lot more comfortable after several hours of floating down a river or creek. So that's what I look like. That's what I look at it for being for. So the place I took it this morning, man, it's a great kayak. You know, you can see some footage of me standing up here. It's stable, no issue standing up. Now, I was sitting down for an hour before I stood up. So in this clip, you can see I kind of experimented with that rope. I'm not 100% positive that rope would do you any good when it comes to standing up. And this is from the stock seat position. There's no seat risers or anything like that. Standing up wasn't hard. My legs kind of hurt this morning. Maybe I'm getting old. But it wasn't hard to stand up, but that pull rope, that pull handle, whatever that thing is I would tell you that thing's pretty useless. But that's not a big deal. Take it off. Get it out of the way so you don't get hook stuck in it. I did go off, and if you look at when I'm standing up, you can see the water is already about to come through the scuppers, which is one of my biggest concerns about putting a trolling motor on the front of it. Is I don't think it has the buoyancy. And I saw a video where someone posted they put a trolling motor on the front of it, and his feet area had at least an inch of water in it the entire time he was in the kayak. Now I know you're in a kayak, you're gonna get wet, but if you modify your kayak and it does something like that, well, you shouldn't have done it. It's not what it was designed for, right? So coming back to where we started, that kayak is great for floating rivers, fishing small bodies of water. Like I just went to go catch a crappie or a brim. Just for the record, the water was up higher than normal, and I didn't even have a bite. Okay, I wasn't really prepared, but I wanted to get out in the kayak and see what it was about. I paddled it, right? Everybody says it didn't track well. Well, I don't look at it as it didn't track well. It's 10.5 foot. It's not supposed to track well. If you finish paddling, say you're going left, right, and you finish on a hard left stroke, the front of the kayak's gonna go right. Say you finish on a half-powered right stroke to kind of correct out the kayak. Well, if the wind's out of the left, the kayak is gonna always taper right. And realistically, the more weight you add to the front, the worse that it's going to track. I don't think it's made for a rudder. Like you're buying a kayak, that kayak is designed for a purpose. It's not universal. It's not a one thing does everything kind of situation. That kayak is designed for small bodies of water. lightweight, throw and go. I don't think adding a rudder to that kayak is where it's at. If you want a kayak that tracks well, then you're fishing a bigger body of water and you plan on going somewhere, and you need to buy a kayak that tracks well. Like, buy a kayak for the job you intend to do with it. It's like using a hammer to put in a screw. It's just not what you're supposed to do. I mean, it might work, but it's just not what the way you're supposed to do it. It did paddle. If you look at this clip here, you can see that it paddled about, I guess I had it about 2.7, 2.8. Now, I wasn't paddling hard. I didn't even have my feet on the pedals. I didn't want to take it out there, put my feet on the pedals. That's a pretty darn dark video, isn't it? I didn't want to put my feet on the pedals and then my feet be in the way of the whole video. So I just didn't do it. So I had my feet kind of crossed. So probably could have paddled faster, but I could have maintained that speed forever. I was using a carbon fiber paddle that you see in all the videos. It was only 230 maybe centimeters. Yeah, it's 230. I got a 252, but I prefer to carry the shorter one. It did great. I think that if you can paddle that kayak over 2.5 miles per hour with relatively low effort, then you're in a great place, right? And look, I went to a place to fish that I launched the kayak and I started fishing. I didn't have to paddle a mile to get where I wanted to be. I put the kayak in the water and I pulled the fishing pole out and I cast it. And that's the type of body of water that kayak is perfect for. I took some other video. I can't remember what I was going to say about it though. I will B-roll all that footage, and if you're still watching this far, you've seen all that B-roll. And I am considering putting maybe a trolling motor on the back or a trolling motor on the front. It would be cool to be able to power it and maybe go further with it, or go up a river or something like that, or to maybe go up a river and access a small body of water that's attached to that river, that you don't need a big kayak when you get there, but you like to get there more efficiently. And once that was put in the back, then you'd have a rudder back there. It might be a motor, but it would still be a rudder at the end of the day, okay? End of the day, it's a well-built kayak. It's gonna serve you well for what it's designed to do, which is fish a small body of water, float a river, get out. Maybe it's for going out and taking pictures in that small body of water. I mean, I saw turtles and all kinds of stuff. Maybe that's what you want to do with it. It would do a good job for what it's designed to do. All right, now we're rambling a little bit. The video's getting a little bit long. If you have questions about it, put it down there in the comment section. I did add a fish finder to it. Maybe we'll talk about that. Super clean install, all in that front scupper hole, all the wires in the front hatch, no holes drilled, out of the way, okay? So if you have questions, leave a comment. I'll get back to you, and we'll talk about the 106 paddle kayak a bit more. We'll make some adjustments and modifications. Thanks for watching.